You're looking at the deer woods right now. It's about 6:30 in the morning. 500,000 hunters or so are heading out into these woods right now, or they're already taking place. This is the opening day of deer season, 1983, November 15th. An exciting time for deer hunters. We are in the northern lower peninsula. Myself, my son Zach. Well, Zach, this is a big one for you.
Yeah.
15 years old, his first opening day in the deer woods. What do you think?
Well, I want to get out there.
I bet you do. The conditions are actually pretty good up here. We've had snow during the night. Snow appears to be in the woods enough so to give us some good visibility. It's coming down right now. The weatherman predicted rain. That would have been maybe a little uncomfortable.
Frozen rain.
Frozen rain, yeah, that's what we have. Well, Bob Garner is in the Upper Peninsula, up there with a camera crew. Ed Groves is down in southern Michigan. We're hunting right around Houghton Lake here. This is the area, Zach, where there are more hunters per square mile than any place in the state. You know that?
I believe it.
42.
There's a lot in here.
That's right, 42 hunters per square mile. So there's a lot of hunters here to move the deer. There are probably not as many deer here as there were last year, but we're looking forward to an optimistic opener. The next few hours will tell the tale for us because we're going to have to get out on the road and bring you an opening day report. We're going to be hunting the next few hours, so you stay tuned for a special edition because for you, it's Thursday night and time for Michigan Outdoors. Let's hit it, Zach.
From the rugged shore and woodlands of the north, it's history.
So much anticipation goes into opening morning that a lot of us hunters don't sleep that well the night before. We lay there and wonder, will the weatherman be right? Will opening day be rained out, or is there a chance the rain will turn to snow? Fortunately, the temperature on opening morning, November 15th, 1983, was as warm as it could be and still snow, providing a background in northern Michigan so hunters could see the deer moving against the brush and between the trees. Of course, that's assuming you picked the right spot and deer would be moving within range where you could see them. During the morning, I sent OJ, my cameraman, out to shoot some scenic shots of the trees in the woods while I spent the first few hours watching the deer in the woods. As luck would have it, OJ saw the deer, and I kept a keen eye on the trees. Our opening day report of deer season 1983 began mid-morning when I intended to be standing by my buck, proudly showing how skilled I am at deer hunting, or at least standing next to somebody's buck in our party to talk about their accomplishment, but hunter's luck did not bless our deer hunting party on opening morning. What we have here is mid-morning coffee break out in the woods south of Houghton Lake. Mike Ignat, here, look up at the camera here. We have a report. You're the director of the Chamber of Commerce here at Houghton Lake. You brought me out here and Zach out on some state land. Used to be pretty good, eh? Right?
Yes, not today.
What happened?
I don't know. The snow scared them off or something.
Well, it seemed like the shots were at about 7:15. Right after light, I heard a flurry of shots for 10, 15 minutes, and then about from 8 to 8:15, and then a few of them at 9 that were fairly close, but that's about all I heard.
That's right.
So, would you chalk this up as a bad opening day?
I don't know what to say. I saw more deer hunting in town than last year, but the deer is not around.
Mm-hmm. Of course, that didn't make it bad, though, does it?
No.
Did you have a good time?
Oh, I enjoyed it to have all the young fellows with us.
Yeah, let's talk to some of these young fellas here. Who do we have here? Is that you, Jimmy? Jimmy McKevers? Oh, look, feeding your face here with some brownies.
Yeah.
Was that the most eventful thing that happened today?
I guess I hardly seen any deer. I seen 3 doe. That's it.
Mm-hmm. When was that?
About 8:30, 9 o'clock.
And you hunted earlier this morning with Mark Souter?
Yeah.
Come here, Mark. You got a great story. You guys went out and built your blind last night.
Yep.
Yeah.
Went out this morning about 6 o'clock. It was dark. We must have walked around it 5 times. We never found it till it got light.
Oh, that's an old story.
Oh, yeah.
Done that a few times myself. Well, let's get over. Hey, Michael Jr. Michael Ignat Jr., big, tall junior in high school. You helped us pick out the blinds last night.
All right. It's kind of long and cold last night.
Yeah. Well, I think we were up in the high country. I had a blind that I liked. It was, yeah, this morning. I had that cluster of trees around, and when I got in the blind, I put on my snowmobile suit, because I usually don't wear it in. I don't want to get all hot and sweaty on the way in. Put on the snowmobile suit. The snow was coming down right after daylight.
Yeah,
and
there's flurries all morning long.
Well, I sat there, and I had a canopy over me, so I wasn't getting wet. you know, with the trees. Good visibility between two swamps.
Yeah.
Everything looked good.
Everything was perfect. It was just.
I heard the shots mainly behind me in the swamp, and I thought, any time now, here come the deer, but they never materialized.
Yeah. Well, I thought they'd hang around the pine regions we had down there.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was just, it was slow this morning. The shots started late because it was late for about a good half hour before I heard any shots. Heard
Well,
about 1 or 2 shots within an hour's time. It was slow.
We had a good strategy.
Yeah, we had them.
We were in good
We had them
spot.
trapped. We were all there. We were going to get them.
We did. We had them trapped, but there was nothing to trap where we were. Well, Zach, let's talk to Zach here. You just have a big bite of candy bar, right? Well, go ahead and swallow that. I want to find out from you. This was your first opening day out in the woods. Go ahead, swallow that, and tell me how you liked it.
It was exciting.
Exciting? You didn't see anything.
No. Sitting out there while it was dark, when it got light. Didn't see anything though.
Had potential though. What was the best part of it?
Well, I guess today it was probably getting back here and warming up.
That's what I thought you'd say that. Did you get a little cold?
Yeah, just a bit.
Your toes got a little nippy? Well, you see, that's how we learn about the outdoors. We'll get some felt pack boots for you and some down mittens, and that might change your attitude, huh? Well, you know, we're going to get out in the southern farm country, you and I. I have a place down a couple miles north of where we live. We're going to get out in those wood lots here, get out of the north woods, and then the next week or two we're going to be out there, and I think we're going to get something down there. Now, that's where Ed Groves is right now, down in southern Michigan, down in the farm country, I think, with Pete Squibb, some other fellas. It's his first deer hunt, too, Zach. So let's go down and find out how Ed liked it down there in southern Michigan. How'd you like it, Ed?
Well, Fred, if you would have asked me that at 4:30 this morning when my alarm went off, deer hunting. About 5:30, though, when I was having breakfast with Pete, a country breakfast, things were looking a little brighter. Now, at 6:30, when we got out into the blind, it was still dark out, of course, and it was dead quiet. The wind was blowing just a little bit. It's raining now, but it wasn't raining then, about 40 degrees. I enjoyed it. You know I like being in the woods. I enjoyed it. Now, at about 10 after 7, now daybreak came, I'd say that full daybreak came about 7:15, so it was still just a little gray out, but you could see pretty well. I'm not making any excuses, okay? I was sitting right here in my blind. I was trying to be quiet. According to Pete's instructions, I'm listening the best I can for the deer that might be coming through here. And I was just adjusting my seat when all of a sudden, I'm telling you, 20 feet away from me, 3 does kind of just like made a snorting type sound and just tore running across this field. I mean, they were about ready to rub noses with me or something. Pete, now I'm a little embarrassed by this, but I mean, is that common? Has that ever happened to you, Pete?
It hasn't happened to me, but it is common.
Okay.
It's probably 80 to 90% of the people that hunt have the same situation happen. Deer just magically appear right there.
I think they just kind of pop out of the
That's
ground.
right.
I think.
That's right. It's
Now-
amazing they got through all this dry grass without you hearing them.
And it was dry this morning.
Right,
It's raining now,
right.
but it was dry this morning. I'm not going to make any excuses. Let me introduce you to my blind that Pete and I built here last night. Just made out of some sticks, and we threw some kind of like weeds over it, just to give me a little added cover for this. We're in southern Michigan, in farmland country. Now we've got on both sides of us. We have a field. What kind of field is this on this side?
This was beans, and now it's plowed.
And on the other side was.
It was beans also, and
Okay.
it's still there.
All right, and and this is, Pete, as you told me, a good area
Right,
to hunt.
right.
Why is that? Give me a.
Okay, this place in particular is good. We've got 2 picked fields on both sides.
Right.
We've got a strip of grass here that's about 70 yards wide. The deer, and we've got a woods here, big chunk of woods to the north. The deer filter right across this area. But one of the problems is you don't know exactly where they're going to go.
That's
They
right.
may be out in the field, they may be in that field, they may come right through the blind, they may use one of these trails. You can see they've used the trails, but today they weren't using
Well,
them.
there was no trail coming up to my
Right,
blind this morning. Now,
right.
now, is that typical of deer? You know, Bob and Fred are up north. Now, do the deer up north act the same way? As far as the trails?
Right. Deer in the north country, in the forested areas, use trails more. These farm country deer just kind of seem to aimlessly wander, would be the best way to put it. They don't use the same routine from day to day. They don't go from point A to point B and back again. They may bed down here today, over there tomorrow, a mile north of here the next day. But they generally will come through this area. They don't unless they're pushed, they don't like to get out in the middle of the fields. They like to stick to the cover or the edges. So that's why they're in here. This is a good spot. But
It was a good spot. I did see deer here this morning. Now, one thing that you told me that I thought was interesting, and I believed you, but until I saw it with my own eyes, I was really surprised. You told me deer are small. Now, I've seen deer before. It's certainly not the first time. But with these tall grasses, you can't see much. You can't see much of those deer.
right. When they come through this is waist-high grass. And you won't see the deer in this grass until they put their heads up. You know, they're only 3 feet tall at the top of their back, which puts them down here somewhere. And they can walk through here all day long. And if they don't put their head up, you're never going to see them.
So you've got to keep your eyes open. So that is opening morning report, opening day of deer season. It's about 1 o'clock, 1:30 right now. I'm real interested. We're gonna take a look around the southern Michigan area and see what some of the other hunters are. I hope they didn't have as bad as luck as I did as far as just seeing deer. I hope we get to see some big bucks.
Well, Ed, southern Michigan has more and more magic for deer hunters every year. You know, they have bigger deer down in southern Michigan. There's more and more deer every year. And I hope that's where Zach and I are going to get our deer within the next week or so. While we are cruising the 2 tracks right here looking for the first buck that we can find in the Houghton Lake area, Bob Garner is up in the Upper Peninsula. That's the land of deer hunting magic across the straits where those big rocking chair bucks used to always come from. Why don't we go up there right now and check with Bob and find out, Bob, whether you've had any opening day deer hunting magic here in the UP.
Well, the Upper Peninsula, you know, there's always a bunch of magic associated with the Upper Peninsula. For years, I dreamed about hunting up here, and for the first time, I got my chance this year. But Mother Nature played a magic trick on us up here, Fred. Mother Nature gave us some rainy, wet, damp weather that really is about the worst you could ever imagine for deer hunting. I like a little skiff of snow on the ground and maybe some fair clouds up above, and it just wasn't exactly the opening day I had pictured for the Upper Peninsula. Most hunters saw some deer. A lot of hunters met with success out in the woods, but not quite as many shots were fired up here as I figured there would be. In the first hour, I counted just 30 in Menominee County, which is a hotbed of deer action. Now, 4 of us hunting up here in Menominee County, and how many deer did we see? You're not going to believe this, but it was 0. But moving over east to Crystal Falls, we ran across a couple of lucky hunters here. Jim Butler, tell us there's got to be a story behind this good-eating little 6-point.
Well, I hope it's good eating. Yeah, there's a little story. Normally, I do most of my hunting with the bow and arrow, but this year I thought I would take my stepson out for a little first-hand deer hunting experience.
And that's Jeff Bickle, this guy over here. What happened, Jeff? Now, we'll let you tell the story.
Well, first I was sort of sleeping, and then a doe walked in, and Jim woke me up. And about 15 minutes later, I was dozing back off, and another deer came in, and it started walking down the deer trail, and we didn't know it was a buck until it came into a clearing, and we saw
You saw the points on it.
Yeah. So
well, what happened? Did Jim then, did he use his gun well? I know he's always bow hunting, but can he shoot a gun pretty good?
Yeah, he hit it just right, and it dropped right there.
Didn't even have to go look for it, huh, Jim? It's a little different than bow hunting, huh?
Well, yes. In fact, Jeff had to yell to me to shoot about 3 times before I shot.
Well, this would be great. I'll tell you what, I wish it were hanging up on my buck pole today, but Andy Halenga, you have got an interesting looking deer. It's a little spike, but it's a pretty big body deer. Where'd you get this one at?
South of Crystal Falls.
Well, what happened? There's got to be a story behind even this spike here.
At 8 o'clock last night, I didn't know where I was going to hunt. So I got up this morning and went out to a little spot south of Crystal Falls and set up there, and about 6:45 this buck came in. And I thought it was a 4-corner first, and I shot, and when I found it, it was a spike.
How far did Jeff chase it?
Oh, it went about 20 feet.
Well, you must have, both of you guys must have made some pretty good shots on your bucks. That looks pretty good. I wish I had that kind of luck in my hunting this morning, but I'll tell you what, tomorrow's supposed to be a better day, no rain, just a little bit of snow. The clouds are supposed to, well, lift up a little bit and go somewhere else. It's going to be a fair day tomorrow, and tomorrow is the day I'm going to shoot my buck, and I think I'm going to shoot it down in Menominee County.
Well, it does my heart good. What is your name?
Charlie Cleaver.
Charlie, congratulations. I wonder if I heard you shooting this morning.
Could have.
Where did you get this one?
On the other side of the road.
Oh, okay, that was a shot farther away. Well, we almost have to have the measuring tape for this one here. The spikes are just about how long?
4.5.
4.5 inches long. Every half inch is important on a deer like
That's
this.
right.
That makes it 9 points, Boone and Crockett. But that's a
I'm
keeper.
lucky.
Yeah, but that's a keeper, though.
Yep.
Do you hear of anybody else who got a deer?
Not yet. Heard a lot of shooting.
Do you hunt Houghton Lake up here every year?
Yeah.
How does this compare?
About the same as last year.
Would you get a spike last year?
I got an 8-point last year.
Oh. Well, that's
But
great.
the second day last year was a lot better than the first.
What about the conditions? How'd you like them? Didn't?
No. A little
like-
too wet.
Too wet. Wow.
Couldn't hear them coming. Last year, opening day, it was real, real sharp, and you could hear them coming.
When was this? At daylight or when?
It was about 9:30. That's what they tell me. I forgot my watch in the trailer.
Oh, well, what the heck. Charlie,
All right.
congrats.
Okay.
Great
Thank
deer.
you.
Great deer. I would have liked to have it myself.
Okay, we've got a pair of deer here, a buck and a doe, and a pair of hunters. We've got Frank Hamilton and Charles Hamilton, son and father here. Frank, you got the buck. What's the story? Is this how many deer did you see today? Is this the only one?
No, I seen about 7 does and 3 bucks for sure.
So did you get your pick then, or what?
No, really, I wanted the big one, but the only shot you can get when you got a shotgun.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
I had to take the closest one.
Yeah, it's Southern Michigan for
Yeah.
you. What's the story on the doe?
That was the only. I seen 1 buck and 3 does, and the buck I couldn't get a shot at, and the doe was by herself, and so I just took that.
Hey,
It was
well,
a
that's
nice
okay.
size.
Good eating there, right?
Yeah.
I bet this is the cook.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, congratulations. You're here. We're at the Maple River Recreation Area, and I know there's a lot of other hunters right around in the area. We wish everybody a lot of luck.
Well, the Fishers got a buck.
How about that?
Hey, that's great, Bob. That's yours?
Yep, we just got her this afternoon.
And this is the first deer that you've gotten in camp?
Yeah, first one this year.
Oh, what happened, Clara? Come on over here.
I heard a couple, 2 or 3 shots and 3 signal shots, and we ran.
You ran? You mean over to
Yeah, to
over
help
to
them
Bob?
gut it out, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, this is a nice sized deer.
Yeah, he's one of our better sized deer we got out of here.
This area, of course, doesn't have any doe permits this year.
Not at all.
And I know Jack Grounds in June, and everybody expected it might be down a little bit.
Well, we've seen a lot of does. This is the only buck we've seen. So, but there's plenty of deer around.
Well, let's hoist this thing up here. We'll call it a 4-point. We'll give those points, right?
Oh, good.
No doubt about it.
Big spike.
Big spike. Yeah, well, go ahead. How much you suppose it weighs, Clara?
I'd say about 175.
That's a nice buck.
Of course, those boys would know better. I was the pack. I carried all their gear.
Well, there we go. The first buck on the pole.
By golly, they got it up there, too.
And you think June Grounds got one?
Yeah, she got one, too.
Oh, great. Got it tied?
Almost.
Well, you're going to have heart and liver tonight.
You bet we are. Are you staying for supper?
Huh? We got to get down to the buck pole at Houghton Lake.
Oh.
We got to do an opening day report on this, Clara. But that's great, Bob. You let go there. I want to congratulate you.
Thanks, Fred.
Now, what's the story? Was this by itself, following?
It was about 15 minutes behind a doe. And apparently they're still in the rut because the doe jumped out, and a few minutes later I saw the doe monkeying around out in the woods. And then I saw some horns following around behind it.
Well, great. One shot?
Yeah, one shot right through the lungs.
That's the way to do it. Okay, well, that'll be some good eating.
Should be
A lot
plenty
of
good eating.
A lot of people envy you for this.
Well, we've had a lot of practice at it.
Yeah.
You know, most hunters go to the east end of Iron County if they want, well, the traditional trophy bucks, but there's a little spot down along the Wisconsin border, the Brule River area that, Ed, looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Looks awful good.
Is that where you got this guy here?
Yeah, that exact area.
Well, tell us, there's got to be a story behind this. Now, this is a 9-point buck, almost 10. You can see this one coming out just about right at the tip there. That would have been a 10-point maybe later on, but what time in the morning did you shoot him?
It was 6:30, right on the button. And I spotted him about 6:20, and he was just fooling around with some brush. And I waited until he came out, and as soon as I saw the tree he was carrying here, I looked it over and made sure it was antlers. And you couldn't miss him. And one shot, and he jumped and then went about 40 yards. It was about a 60-yard shot. And then he went about 40 yards, and he fell.
Boy, now that is a tremendous buck story for a tremendous buck, but you came a long way to get this deer.
Oh, yeah, I come up here, the last 3 years I've come up here because the hunting's a lot better, and the hunters really basically seem a lot smarter, too, when you're hunting with them. where in some areas it's pretty well populated. You got a lot of hunters. You got a lot of orange coats all over.
Well, Ed Hesley, you shot a 6-point buck just a little bit earlier this year, too, up here.
Yeah, that was with bow and arrow, and that was one shot basically through the lung area.
In just about the same place on the border?
Exact same area.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that deer was on the Michigan side of the border and not the Wisconsin side for this weekend Wisconsin opener. Okay, Ed, well, that'll be a fine trophy to take back to Grand Rapids.
We're talking to Frank Kiefsky, a man from Warren, Michigan, who's hunted deer all his life. What's your lifetime total?
1 deer.
One? Yeah, but this isn't a half bad one. Look at this up here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10-point buck.
Right.
That's great. Where do you hunt normally?
Higgins Lake, around Higgins Lake, about a couple miles out of Higgins
And that's
Lake.
where you got this one?
That's where I got this one.
Now, what have you been doing the past 14 years? I want to know. What's gone wrong?
Just missing.
You've been missing? You've been seeing him, though?
Yeah. I've been seeing him.
And this year, tell me the story. Where was this buck?
This buck was about 60 yards from me, and I knocked him over.
Was he in the hardwoods or down in the swamp?
Hardwoods. In the hardwoods.
That's where you hunt up there. Was he following a doe or anything?
No, he was by himself.
What time was it?
9:30 this morning, and everybody in the woods knew it.
Oh, yeah? Why is that?
I screamed like a scalded dog.
Did you? These your kids here?
Yeah, wait.
Who?
This is my son, Donnie.
Were you out there when he got this?
Oh, yeah. I was about a quarter mile away and I heard him. He was screaming.
He was probably pretty happy.
Oh, was he?
Well, I don't know how old this one is, but it sure is a nice buck. You can have it mounted?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Well, that's good. Where are you going to put it?
I think over my bed.
All right. Well, that's terrific. Well, congratulations. That's
Thank
a
you.
super buck. And now, not only that, but for 15 years of trying, you're on Michigan Outdoors.
Thank you.
Say hi to the folks back in Warren.
Hi.
Well, as evening closes in here in Iron Mountain, we're right here at the Timber Motor Lodge, and we're taking a look at 2 types of trophies. Now, Steve, you're the manager here at the Motor Lodge. You've been hunting for how long?
14 years.
And this is your first buck, a nice 8-point. Hey, hold it up there. Let the camera see that. That's a real dandy. And to you, that's one heck of a trophy, and it would be to me, too, because I didn't have very good luck this morning. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, he came in at 7 o'clock, and I couldn't tell right away he was a buck because he kept his head down. But once he came up, that was it. He turned towards me, and he had bought it.
Well, that's a good story, but you know, there are some other types of trophies here. You got yours in Dickinson County, but here's one from Menominee County right here, a 14-pointer. That is the biggest deer I've seen so far on my trip up here to the UP. What's your name?
Robert Gerton, Quinnipiac.
And where'd you get this buck at?
Faithhorn, just south of Faithhorn.
Well, tell us a little bit. There's got to be a story behind a 14-point buck.
Well, I was just really walking, and I seen a little fawn ahead of him, you know. I was watching the fawn, and the buck was behind him. And I shot about 100 feet away, and I got 5 shells in him, but I got him.
Well, that's the important thing. Are you gonna have this one mounted?
Getting away, yes, sir. Yeah, I'm gonna have him mounted.
Have to.
I have to. It'll probably be I'll never get another one like this.
Well, I can believe that. In fact, most Michigan hunters won't get this 8-point that Steve Gazza has here. Both of these deer are real trophies out of the Iron Mountain, Menominee, Dickinson County area. Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
Well, the big question is, if you don't get your deer opening day, are your chances shot?
No.
You don't think so?
No. Last year we got 4 after opening day.
I got a picture right here. You want to tell me about this picture?
I have to look at it, refresh my memory. I'm getting old. Yeah, that's about right. We only got 1 the first day, and then we started filling in. I'm the fat guy on the end with the blue. See the pot belly?
Yeah.
That's me.
And what's your name?
Stu White from St. Clair Shores.
Okay, Stu. Well, that's a pretty good lineup, and you got 4 on the second day. Do you normally do better after opening day?
No, it's about even. Usually. Last year was a fluke, maybe.
Okay, the moral of the story is to you hunters out there who haven't got your deer opening day or maybe even the second day, keep on pushing.
That's right.
Well, these hunters are standing here after opening day, all of them eating their hearts out, wishing that they had a buck on the pole. Hey, isn't that right, guys? Oh, you got yours. A few to be weighed in here. Well, we're at Tuck's Hardware here in Houghton Lake, where we hunted this morning and we didn't see anything, but somebody got some good ones.
Somebody did, yes.
Okay, Don Tuck and Tim Tuck, who run the hardware store here, put this thing up free of charge to hunters.
Right, right.
You offer some prizes?
We give prizes for the first buck on the pole,
the youngest and oldest hunter in the state of Michigan and out of the state, the first lady, and the biggest buck.
Oh, that's great. Well, let's look at some of these bucks you got here. You got some 10-pointers, a lot of spike horns. How does this compare, Tim, with last year?
About the same. We hung about the same amount last year. I think we filled it up last year on opening night.
How many you got here now?
22.
These are the small ones down here, I think, from the looks of it. But here we got some of the bigger ones. We got some 10 points. Well, here's a little spike here, but some nice 10-point bucks. What's the biggest one you got?
The biggest one, we got 3 or 4 10 points. The biggest one in weight. Of course, we don't go by weight, but it weighed 180 pounds.
Let's go down and look at this one here. This is a deer. I'll tell you, if this was a young deer, we'd have some good eating.
Oh, you bet. That'd make good stew.
That's 180?
180 pounds, dressed out.
Okay, well, the hunters that come in here and bring their bucks, you take their pictures and post
We
them in
take
the
their
store?
pictures and post them, then we send each hunter a picture when it's all over with.
Well, that's super. That really, you know, it's really fun for these hunters here to come down and look at the deer that have been taken.
Yeah, we started the poll in '77, and we've hung 202 deer up starting today.
Oh, that's great. So people can come up during the summer, come in your hardware store here and see what's been taken.
See their
this past
picture
year.
anytime, yeah.
Well, that's super. Well, you know, we have a lot of hunters here. Where's Zach? Zach, come in here. I want to explain something. There's a lot of people watching this on opening day, but you know, we've got a lot of reports of evidently hunters who couldn't be here with us. And I want to sort of extend the sympathy to the people who have evidently called in sick to factories and to schools. Zach, I know you were sick yesterday. You were so sick that I pulled you out of school, and I didn't want to come up here hunting and leave you at home. So I brought you along. You feeling better now?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. And I hope that the rest of you folks out there who did have to call in sick and couldn't make it up here deer hunting are going to feel better by the end of the week, get back on the job, and maybe they can get hunting this weekend.
Maybe.
You think?
We look for a good crowd.
Okay, that buck fever is taking a toll. Okay, folks, we had an opening day report on here on Michigan Outdoors from the Upper Peninsula, the Northern Lower, and Southern Michigan. Next week, we'll be back with a comprehensive report of opening week. Maybe it'll take a turn for the better.
Let's hope.
Maybe Zach and I will get our bucks.
There you go.
Okay. You got one there? Okay, well, that's super. You guys, any of you get any deer?